Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. We're still explaining or giving a quick introduction to describing as-sifat al-salbiyah. And of course, a lot of things that are related to the negating attributes are pretty much on the other side, the polar side of as-sifat al-ijabiyah. And of course, another way of how theologians express these two sifat, right, are kamaliyah and jalaliyah, right? Or sifatu kamal and sifatu jalal, right? When we say jalal, يعني يجل الله عنه, يعني God is exalted from having, for example, a body or a partner, right? Huh? Yeah. So far be it that God, for example, has this kind of quality. But sifatu kamal is, of course, the perfection that God has. And as a result, he's going to have these kind of attributes and qualities, right? Now, always remember that we also have certain sifat that are called sifat fi'liyah, right? That can only be understood in it being a fi'l, in it being an act, like al-khaliqiyah, right? So you have with al-khaliqiyah, with the attribute of al-khaliqiyah, you have the khaliq and you have the makhluq, right? So there needs to be a fi'l, which is al-khalq, and the fa'il, which is al-khaliq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course the effect, which is going to be the makhluq, or al-raziqiyah, right? So Allah is the Razzaq, and then you have the marzuq, right? So these are called sifat fi'liyah, sifat fi'liyah. Whether they be sifat fi'liyah, kamaliyah, whatever any kind of sifa that you have, all of them are a part of God. That's why we say as-sifat ayn al-dhat. What does that mean? That God's attributes are his very essence. You can't separate his sifat from him. You can't do that, right? And this is why when we use the word Allah Jalla wa Ala, when we use this name, we use it because it is Jami'ul Asma. It is Jami'ul Asma. What does Jami'ul Asma mean? It is the all-comprehensive name. The all-comprehensive name that combines all of his sifat, his 99 names, right? Now, of course, here we know that with the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are we able to add any kind of names to him, or can we only refer to God based on these 99 names that he has described himself? Here there's a difference of opinion. All right, it's a different topic altogether, but it's called tawqifi. Whether God's names are tawqifi or غير توقيفي or non-توقيفي. Tawqifi means 99 names and that only. You can't call him Ya Ab because you are, for example, our father. Yani you are our creator. We want to refer to you as our father, for example. Can you say that? No. For example, if it's Tawqifi, no, you can't. Right? In Surah Al-Waqi'ah, it says, أَأَنْتُمْ تَزْرَعُونَهُ أَمْ نَحْنُ الزَّارِعُونَ. Can you say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Zari'? Can you say that? Here, if it's Tawqifi, no, you can't. You can't say Ya Zari', for example. Right? This is where we kind of like have a clear stance when it comes to Christianity. When they say God the Father, well, not only are they saying the Father as in the Father as like in the metaphoric way, the caring, loving creator, but they genuinely also believe, they take it one step further and genuinely also believe that he is the Father because he, gave birth to Jesus the Son in flesh, right? Anyway, so that's an interesting topic. Maybe you can look that up later on and see what the view of our ulama are. But Jami'ul Asma, you know that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with that beautiful name, first of all, with Allah, you can take Ilah, you can also say Lillah and everything else. And that's why in the Iranian flag, there's so many things that you are able to take out from that way, from the way they write. I don't know, I'm going to try to do it here. Isn't it something like that? Yeah. Isn't it something like that? That's the Jewish candle. It is, yeah, it looks like the Jewish candle. But anyway, it says Allah, but it also says La ilaha illallah as well, right? Anyway, I bet you wouldn't be able to draw anything nicer than that, would you, Nisar? You're a Naqash, huh? All right. As we know, Naqash is like an artist. Allah, right? Number one, it cannot be pluralized. With Ilah, you can say Aliha, right? With Ilah, you can say Aliha. With Allah, it can't be plural. Number two, with Allah, it's non-gender. With something like Ilah, you can say Ilahe Khanum, right? God as well. God, you can say gods, you can say goddess, right? So easily. But with Allah in Arabic language, not irrespective of Islam, what Islam says, and that as a word in Arabic, it's beyond gender, it's beyond, it cannot be turned into muthanna or jam. And that's why we use the name Allah, because it combines all of the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, in the case of al-sifat al-salbiyah, as we explained last lesson, you are negating things from gods. But of course, you've already established those qualities in al-sifat al-ijabiyah, right? In those sifat al-kamaliyah, in those sifat al-thubutiyah, I shouldn't be saying ijabiyah, I should be saying thubutiyah, but anyway. In those sifat al-thubutiyah, you've established those things, and when you are establishing them, you're negating the opposites. For example, you say Allah is Qadir. We're listening. We say Allah is Qadir. And what would be the sifa salbiya? Ajiz. So you say Allah bi Qadir wa laysa bi Ajiz. Right? Allah is Alim and He is not Jahil. Allah is Basit and He is not Murakkab. Right? Right? All right, let's read. It's hot? No, I should put it, what daraja is it on? Put it on 17. Yalla Nisar, start reading, please. What do you want to complain about something? You were wearing a jacket 2 days ago. No, this guy. Put it 17, Ibrahim. Nisar, start reading, please. Yeah.
He said, section 3, concerning his privative al-Salbi qualities, which are 7.
Privative. Didn't we say, what did we say? What did we call it last week? Privative. Negating, yes, the negative. So write negating next to the word privative.
First, the Most High is not compounded, otherwise he would be in need of members.
Of parts. Right? Members, yani parts. He would need parts. Now, these parts could be physical parts, external parts. It could be mental parts. So you've got these external murakkabat. God is none of them. Mental murakkab is, for example, you defining al-insan in its jins and its fasl. You say al-insan haywanun natiq. A human being is a rational animal, right? Animal is the jins and rational is the fasl. Why? Because the jins is the genus. It's something that is commonly shared between the human being and others, right? Al-fasl is what differentiates that entity, that existence with everything else. For example, right? For example, al-tayr haywanun ta'ir, right? And that's going to differentiate it from a walking four-legged animal. Okay? So these things are you doing tarkib in your mind. When you say al-insan, for example, is made up of wujud and mahiyya. Wujud and mahiyya. What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Does God have mahiyya? Does God have mahiyya? If you say God has mahiyya, that means you are going to be saying that He is murakkab, mahiyatuhu inniyatuh. His quiddity is His very essence. On the topic of essence, that, right? What is Dhatullah? We're listening. What is Dhatullah? Nobody knows. We don't know what Dhatullah is. We know Allah through His sifat. And that's why it says, the hadith says, لا تفكروا في ذات الله. Don't, occupy your mind and ponder into wanting to know what the essence of God is, because you're never going to get a result, never going to get an answer. You know God, you understand God, you worship God, you feel God through His sifats, right? What's wrong, Sayyid? Did Abu Zainab throw something out?
No, we always discuss
About Dhatullah?
question after,
Okay. Carry on, Nisar.
And that which is in need, muftaqir, is possible.
Is contingent.
I say, when he finished the positive qualities, he began on the privative one. The first, the positive, are called the qualities of perfection, al-Kamal. And the second, the qualities of glory, al-Jalal. And if you will, all the qualities may be qualities of glory. For the affirmation of his power means the negation of powerlessness in him. And the affirmation of knowledge means the negation of ignorance in him.
So this is what's he saying here? He's saying that if you want to look at it this way, you can see that the qualities, the attributes can be looked from this side and also from this side. Affirming his power means negating him being powerless, right? Affirming his power means negating his powerlessness, right? Affirming knowledge means negating ignorance, right? Of his qualities is nothing but negating. So anytime you are talking about one of the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in reality you are negating those qualities that are not worthy or befitting for God. Allah laysa bi'ajiz, Allah laysa bijahil, Allah laysa bimurakkab. Right? And idafat. Idafat, yes, idafat means the additional attributes, which are these here, which they are right next to it, the active sifat or the fi'liya sifat, sifat fi'liya, the attributes of action, the attributes of action, right next to idafat, the attributes of action. Why? Because that's what it is. You are saying that there is, for example, a creator and created, etc., etc. Carry on.
And the limit of his essence and qualities is veiled from the consideration.
Underline this, that's what we just mentioned, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his kunh, yani his very essence, no one knows, we don't know. This is something that has been veiled, has been concealed. Nobody knows what kunh Dhatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. His essence and qualities is veiled from the consideration, yani nazar, yani speculating on what it is of the uqul. And no one knows what God is other than himself. No one knows what God is other than himself. All we know is God through his sifat. That's it. And as for his
and no one knows what he is but he himself. And surely the author mentioned here several qualities. The first is that he is not compounded, and the compounded thing is one which is part. And the opposite of compounded is single, al-Basur, al-Basir.
So read that again. The first is
that he is not compounded, and the compounded thing is one which is part.
Okay, stop there. So, didn't we explained this last week? We said that the first negating attribute is Allah laysa bi murakkab. Allah is not compounded. Allah is basit. He is simple. You want to say simple, you want to say single, up to you, it doesn't matter. Allah is simple. He is basit, not murakkab. Not simple as in easy, simple as in doesn't have parts. Yes, that's what it means here. And the opposite of compounded is single or simple. and it is something that does not have parts. And we explained that in the last days. Carry on. And composition.
Tarkib is sometimes objective, as the composition in bodies of individual atoms, al-Jawahir al-Afrad, and
Objective, right, just next to word right, external, physical, material. يعني خارجي خارجي. So, al-jism, a body, is made up of parts, made up of atoms, for example, individual atoms, right? And sometimes it is mental, dhihni, sometimes it is mental. What was the example we gave of a murakkab that is mental? What was the example that we just gave like about 5 minutes ago? What was the example? Huh? Yeah, human is a rational animal. A murakkab made up of jins and fasl. What? Carry on. Carry on.
as the composition of fidelity, al-mahiyat, and limits, al-hudud, like the composition of genera.
Ajnas. Ajnas is plural for jins. In ilm al-mantiq you study jins, arad, fasl, right? Jins is the genus, Genus, not genius. Carry on.
And species, fasl, fusul.
Fusul is plural for fasl.
And the compounded thing in both senses is in need of its parts, because it is impossible for it, objectively or subjectively, to be realized and distinguished without its parts.
Yeah, you're not able to understand. You're not able to understand a murakkab without understanding its parts, whether it be khariji or whether it be dhihni.
And its parts are other than it, because the part can be separated from it.
Its parts are other than its. Yani you can remove the H from the 2O. You can remove the carburetor from the car. Right? So its parts are different to its self. Okay.
It is said the part is not called the whole.
Yes, this is of course a qaida that they say, right? That they say al-juz laysa bikul. Al-juz laysa bikul. Write that down next to it. Al-juz laysa bikul. Here. This is a qaida. Al-juz laysa bikul. I said it like about 6 times. Ukul. Carry on, Nisar.
And that from which a thing can be separated is distinct from it. Then a compounded thing is in need of something else.
Therefore, something that is compound, something that is murakkab will needs and it's going to need something else, and anything that needs is contingent. Any murakkab is mumkin. Sorry, any murakkab is faqir, and any faqir is mumkin. Anything that is murakkab is faqir, and anything that is faqir is mumkin. Mumkin al-wujud, contingent existence, not wajib al-wujud, not necessary, cannot be necessary. And God can never be mumkin. God is always wajib. Carry on.
Hence, it is possible existence. Therefore, if the most exalted creator were compounded, it would be possible.
So, if God was murakkab, he would be mumkin. And that is impossible. Right? Therefore, if God was compounded, he would be contingent, and that is impossible. That is muhal. That cannot be. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.